Hello, it's Amy with Just a Little Ink. I'm here for Friday Live. Today I've got a fun fold card. I'm going to show a portrait style fun fold. This is one I had done as a part of a swap that I am a part of with other demonstrators. And so I'm going to share kind of that card, and then I have one example of one that is in a landscape fold, and I'll kind of give you just a few hints. We may do that one again because that one's using some sneak peek products. And so I'm going to go ahead and just get a moving on some stuff. Had to get some things going and get my cameras up, and it's just been a lot of fun today. Grocery shopping, I don't know what you've been up to, but that's what I've been up to. So let me go ahead and share with you what I've got. I'm going to start with the supplies I'm using. I'm going to point out, just if you don't have a demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator, and that you can order anytime. I'm going to push this down just a little closer, actually. Get my camera just a little more in view, and hopefully a little less squinting going on. So I'm going to show you the products that I'm using, or the measurements and things. So you need some pieces of designer or of cardstock, and I am using just our regular 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I've cut it in half at 4 1/4 by 11, or 11 by 4 1/4, and I'll talk through my scores here in just a moment. You'll need another piece, and honestly the width of this is determined by you. You want it smaller than the width of this, your base, your card base. So I have chosen to do mine at 8.5 by 2.5. The 8.5 is consistent across, but that 2.5 can move depending on how you want to kind of keep going. You're also going to want some pieces of a neutral. I'm choosing to use white willow cardstock. And so I've got a piece, let me look at my notes here for just a moment. I have a piece that's 5 1/4 by 2 1/4 that's going to layer on top of this. I also have a scrap piece. My scrap for this project was 4.5 by 2.5. I'm going to set it up here. And then you need a piece for the back, and that is 4 1/4 by 4. And so we'll need that piece. And then you'll need some designer series paper, or papers that are, let me see if I can't get us a little more in focus. It seems like we're maybe just a teeny bit out of focus. Let's see here if we can get in just a little closer. It'd be helpful. There, maybe. Are we going to help? I don't know if that helps or not. We'll see. Let's see if we can't get straightened up too. There we go. Always fun with technology. Okay, so the hope is that we're a little better in focus. So your designer series paper is 4 inches by 5 inches, and I'm going to cut or trim off a little bit at the base. So, and I did point out my blog, justalittlink.com. I have been better at keeping it updated. And then my ordering site is justalittlink.stampinup.net. You've got a little bit of scrap that you're going to want. I used, for this project, the Sweet Words and Labels, which is my favorite die set lately. It's got some really great Winnie the Pooh type quotes. So those are great, but today we're only using the die. And so I can pull those out. They look, I keep mine on magnetic sheets. We've talked about that if you've been on my videos. So I'm going to use one of these down here. They've got beautiful stitching elements that go along with them. I love the shapes. Just a great, great set. So I'm going to put that away so we don't lose anything out of there. But we're going to be using Fun for Fall. Fun for Fall is a photopolymer stamp set, and you can choose to get it as a bundle at a 10% discount that has dies that coordinate with, and we are going to use, or at least I've already done that, but you're going to use the dies as well. And this is a cute set. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those pieces out. And again, just so you're aware, I keep my dies on magnetic sheets. And so I have used the fence die, which is so cool. And the corn may come because I love this cornfield, and got the pieces of corn that you can add to it. And then the rest of the images are meant to cut out images that you've stamped with the stamps. And so I'm going to set that aside. We need the stamps, so I'm going to leave them here. And I'm using some Secret Sea ink and some blending pens, so our Stampin' blends. So let's go through. I'm going to talk through a little bit of how I scored my design or my cardstock base. So it's 11 inches, 4 1/4, and I scored it at 1 inch, 2 inch, and at 6.5 inches. And that way I've got enough to do my folds. I also, on this piece, again, this was 8.5 by 2.5, I scored it at 6.5 inches. And so those are already scored. Then we're going to go ahead and trim this piece of Designer Series paper. This paper is a pack, and mine is used. You can see I've been using quite a little bit of it. This is from the 2026, 2028 in color Gingham Gallery Designer Series papers. This was online exclusive, I believe, the beginning of July, as was the Fun for Fall stamp set and bundle. I'm also going to be using a piece of the Wood Grain Wonders Designer Series papers. It's got really great wood grain, which I thought was great for the fence. And there are two different tones of paper in the package. That was online exclusive way back in, would that have been March? It might have been March. And so great items. Those are still available last I checked. So we're going to go ahead and put this in my trimmer and we're going to get going. So I'm going to just come across, there's short measurements to the right side and I like those. I'm going to trim off 3/4 of an inch. I've got the 5-inch across the top, and that way we are ready to go. I just find it's easier to cut that piece larger and then trim it down. And so that's what we're doing. So then let's mess with our stamping. I'm going to stamp the items first. You're not going to watch me color them all because that would get boring. So I'm going to use that cute scarecrow, which that was what really grabbed me, was the scarecrow. And I'm going to grab me a big block. I find that was that F? No, E. The E block works just so well. And I want to get them inked up, and it's amazing what you can play around with. You know what? Yes, I did do this. I'm starting to second guess myself. I'm going to ink him up in Secret Sea. This was our in color last year. I'm going to grab the white here and, pardon the noise. I'm going to grab this and just clean that corner up so that I'm not inking where I don't want it. Although I'm cutting it out, may not matter. So I'm going to press down, get a nice clean image. Awesome. And then I'm going to just set that out of the way. I will clean it. And then I need a crow. And there are 3 different crows, but I'm going to use the one that's squawking a little bit here. And again, we'll ink up the crow, and I'm going to put him just up above. It gets cut out separately, so that's fine. No problem with keeping it the way it is. And while we have the stamps out, we're going to go ahead and stamp a couple more things. I've got the greeting I want here, and that one I would like to say, "So thankful for you." So I'm going to grab, again, another block, get my stamp straight as possible, ink it up in that Secret Sea. I may get in the screen just a little bit just so I can make sure I'm centered. Okay, so just like so. So we've got that done. I'm going to clean that one off. And then, oh, the back. I'm going to put something on the back, and I don't know if you've seen that. I know it's not new because I've seen others stamp and do the same thing. I would like to have, I'm going to just do one of my I'm going to line them together. I could use my Stampin' positioner and that would work, but in our case we'll be fine just with some blocks. So I'm going to line them up together, ink them again in the same Secret C ink, and put it down here on the left corner, just like so. So all of that stamping is done. And then for interest, I'm just going to set those aside for the moment. For interest, we're going to put this is the section that I'm going to layer my pieces onto. So I want to do some blending. And so I'm choosing to use Petal Pink and Peaceful Pine. And so I'm going to ink up with my small blending brushes. I'm going to grab a little bit of ink and I'm going to just kind of turn this. I want to start at the top and just have a light color. I don't want too much, but I want some color up here at the top. And so then you go deeper if you want. Again, I'm just kind of wanting it to not be white. And so I did some blending on this end. Then I'm going to grab my Peaceful Pine. Peaceful Pine is one of our new in colors, and it is one of our magnetic stamps pads, which are linen topped. So a little different feel, definitely a little more to get used to if you're not used to them. I'm going to start over here because I don't want this real dark. And I'm going to come up just to where I had my Petal Pink. And I'm going to try to keep a fairly light hand. So like so. You want it a little more, you can add. Okay, so and then I'm going to set those out of the way. I can stop with my ink pad at the moment. And then I'm going to show you just briefly the coloring I used to color it just doesn't want to focus. See if we can't get it to focus in a little bit better. And again, we're going to come down just a little more, just to see if we can't get it to focus in. So I'm going to color just briefly here. I'm using some Golden Glow for my scarecrow's hair. And I'm not going to do all of it, but I want to show that that's how I did here. I made sure to add a little bit coming out of the hat. And of course, you're going to do the same thing with his a little bit with his, let me see if we can get in here a little better maybe. I don't know, there maybe. I want it to focus on my scarecrow. Okay, well, we'll try. So then I chose to use the good old ivory. So ivory and bronze were our very first skin tones that we had, and I'm using the ivory to do my scarecrow's face. And I included that little tie as part of his face, like it was wrapped around, like so. And then I'm going to use Cantaloupe Crisp, which is the color of this paper. And that was what I chose to use for his shirt. I think I got a little crazy with my coloring up there. And then I'm going to choose because I use dark. I'm going to go ahead and blend a little with his shirt. You could choose to use just one color, which I often do. You'll have to tell me what you would make a step card. How would you do that? So, and then I'm going to come in with the light color of our hydrangea hue. Hydrangea hue, I'm not sure why my camera's acting up. Hydrangea hue is another in color. Absolutely, I think my favorite in color, even though I do love me some coral colors, and Cantaloupe Crisp is a beautiful coral. So I'm just going to color his overalls, and I will finish doing that. I would have added, for those patches, I made those, I made the patches Cantaloupe Crisp to match his shirt. Anyway, and so all of this, and I think I didn't grab all of the things I need. I added some Peaceful Pine for the grass at the base of the post. His hat I did in crumb cake, and I didn't bring for my bird, my crow here. The beak I did again in Golden Glow to kind of keep things consistent, and then I used the light basic black to color the I can't talk today. Basic black to color my crow. For the I'm just going to bring it over here. I've already cut out some things, so I can grab them here. I've already colored him, so you can kind of get a feel for what that is. Let's see if we can come back out a little ways. Well, we may not. So here's how Mr. Scarecrow turned out. And let's see if we can't maybe move in just a little. Okay, so here's my, we can use the one we had here. And then here's how I colored. So I used Golden Glow, and then I used some of our pecan pie. And then I just used a dot of our new gel pen to just give that little highlight. And that's for the back. So I'm going to set the things that are on the back out of the way. I had cut out using those coordinating dies all of these pieces. And so let's layer them. We can set this aside. Yeah, it looks better. We're going to go ahead and attach my fence. I'm going to grab out my multi-purpose liquid glue, and I'm going to tap it across. And I've got mine in these fine tip glue bottles that you can find on Amazon. And you can find links. I've shown them, I think, on my other videos before. If I need to look, you can message me. I'm going to attach the fence, and I want my fence up a little ways. I don't want it too far down. So I'm going to come up like so. Grab my cute fence, and then I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of my scarecrow, and I'm going to choose to use those mini dimensionals just because I can get quite a few of them and get him lifted up. Let's see here. And I'm just going to come in a little bit on the ends. I want to make sure that my scarecrow isn't going anywhere. And see how well I do placing it on his hands. And I just want one on the top part of that crow on the back side. And you'll know why here in a second. Okay, so I'm going to place my scarecrow first. Grab out all of these. And I'm going to kind of have you in waiting as I wait to reveal how to attach all the things for this faux step card, which goes together so fast. It's, again, I think it's my new favorite. Grab all those out of the way. Well, maybe. Okay, so I'm going to lay my scarecrow onto the center here, and I want to come down a little ways, but I want to make sure he's high enough to clear that fence. So, right. You may get him a little wiggly. There we go. And then I'm going to grab, well, I thought, there. That ends on one come off. I'm going to stick my crow on top. So I want him on his hat, because to me that number one gives some height, but I liked how that ended up looking. So I've got my scarecrow ready to go. We've already, because I did it ahead of time, I have my backing, and we already have our greeting, which I'm going to go ahead and stick a couple dimensionals. You could use larger dimensionals, or you can just use these minis. With minis, I'm going to put 3. And we'll set that aside because we need that for a bit. So I'm going to take this piece and fold it in half. This is, again, is that 8.5 by 2.5. I'm going to fold my flap over. Let me come up here a little ways. Then this piece can get adhered down, and I'm just, for simplicity, going to use my Stampin' Seal. You don't need necessarily super strong adhesive for this part. And I'm going to lay it up. I want to find my reveal. So we're going to come up like so. And so that's ready, almost. And then I've got my 2 pieces of designer series paper. Let me get this out of the way. And I've got my card base. Let's see if we can come just a little further away here. Well, maybe. Well, we're going to have to do with what we're doing. So I'm going to take it. This is the wider end. I'm going to fold it over. And use my bone folder. It's important to have that nice crisp fold. Let's just get that out of the way and then you can see better. And then I've got these other folds here. And so I want to come up. So this is that 2-inch mark. I'm going to score or burnish. And then I'm going to fold this piece over so that I've got kind of a valley. So I referred to it as a mountain fold, a valley fold. You can kind of see it if I turn. A mountain fold, a valley fold, and a mountain fold. This will be my front. So then I want to take and put my designer series papers on the front. And I could choose to use, I didn't share that, you've got big buffalo print or you have the tinier buffalo. And I like the tinier plaid. So that's what we're using on this. And so I'm going to lay this on the front. Scoot it up. And do this one on the inside. And I suppose you could mix them up. I haven't done that, but I suppose you could. So put this on inside section. You could choose, I assume, to put designer paper on every surface. I am not choosing to do that. So I've got some here, I have some here. We have our folded greeting and or our image. And so what I'm choosing to do is I want mine centered on the front and have an even split on both sides. But you could choose to stick it off to the side and have it wider. Maybe you want your greeting to come over. If you were using the cute, let me pull it over here. If I was using the cute little flag that the scarecrow can hold, you may want it scooted this direction because then this could come over on the edge and still be within the dimensions of your card. So that's just an idea, but we're going to center. And to do that, I'm going to use some tear and tape. You could use our Seal Plus. That would work as well. Let me grab out tear and tape, and all you need, you want it on the opposite side of where you put your image. And I'm going to line up a piece here, and I'm going to do another piece on the other end. Tear and tape's great because it literally, you could cut it if you wanted, but you can tear it. And it is a super strong adhesive. So I'm going to burnish, and then I'm going to grab my take your pick tool, maybe. Yep, there it is. And I've got my pick here. That makes it easier for me to get that tape up. So get one off, and then I'm going to grab the other one. I'm just going to do them both now. Okay, and then let me show you how to line up. So I'm with my card flat. I'm going to come in here. I want an even reveal on both sides, and I'm not going to be too worried about being exact. You could be. I'm going to lay it down so it's attached here, and then to finish it, all I'm doing is folding it over and letting this piece attach on the back. So I've got my greeting on, or my image on the front, and then I'm going to take my little tag here, frame, and I'm going to line it up in the center. Over there, and I think I like that. And how cute is that to be able to then stand? And so that's the cool part, but you always want to be able to write something on the back, and I had a fellow demonstrator had shown this, and I just thought it was so great. And I'm just going to choose to, again, use Stampin' Seal. So I'm going to put some on the back, put as much as you feel you need. But look at this. How great is this that you can line it up and gives you a surface that you can not only decorate, but it acts like the inside of your card in a lot of ways. And so that was my swap that I sent off in the mail just a few days ago to my girls who are waiting on them. And I thought it was just so fun. I love the scarecrow. I love the Fun for Fall suite, or bundle. It's not a suite. And so let me put this here for, again, just in case you're looking to order. I do send people a hand-stamped card if you order from me in the month. And I also will email to you, if you give me permission to email you, a tutorial bundle at the end of the month. Just as a way of saying thank you. Oh, I was going to share with you my card. So this is my sneak peek card that I did just a little bit ago using, and let me see if I can find where I put him. Did I move him? I might have moved my stamp set. Hold on just a second. I will share it with you. I'm going to grab that and be right back. Pardon the squeaks. So this is part of the Christmas crew. This is brand new. It'll be available for you to purchase in September. Awesome, cute little images, fun greetings, and coordinating dies. If you buy it as the bundle, it's in our new September to December catalog that will be coming out soon. If you're already a customer and have been ordering from me, yours will be coming in the coming weeks. But this cute card is still a step fold. It's still a faux step card. So fun. And I used some of the paper that is with a July online exclusive that coordinates with the quilt. And I, for the life of me, did not write that one down. but uses real red for my base and that paper. And then I cut out that adorable deer and made a Merry Christmas, used some of the coordinating dies to give me some trees. And then on the back, I used the deer and made it a girl by not including those antlers. So I masked off the antlers and stamped it and then die cut it, and then I had to do just a little bit of fussy cutting to cut off that section. But so cute, so fun. And this is the landscape version, which is just a little bit different in dimensions. I'll briefly mention them here, but we may find another card that I end up doing this way. It's an 8" by 5.5" card base with a 6.5" by 3.5" overlay. And again, you can go smaller, you can go a little wider. I wouldn't go much wider than this. And I centered mine. Again, you don't have to. You could come off to the edge, and that's kind of a great thing. And then my papers, I just layered into, so this is again a 5.5" by 3/4. This piece here was, oh, it helps if I cover it up. That piece was 5.25" by 2 3/4. And then the piece that's behind my reindeer, that one is 4 by 3.25. And then just some scrap paper to, again, do the images. So fun. I hope that you enjoyed this. I will have this posted on my blog by tomorrow, and it will be on YouTube if you miss this being in the 30 days that Facebook keeps it. But thanks again for joining me. Have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Happy stamping.